Okay. The poem now today we are discussing a new poem, Spring and Fall. Gerard Manley Hopkins, Spring and Fall. Gerard Manley Hopkins is a Victorian poet. We say Victorian poet. He lived and wrote during Queen Victoria in England, right end of 19th century and 20th. He was a Jesuit priest, Catholic priest, and his poems also have some religious angle. Okay. Here, the narrator seems to be a father, and there's a little girl called Margaret. Right? Father is speaking to daughter, or else an adult speaking to little girl. Spring and fall. Spring means season of spring. Fall mean fall of spring. That means next season is autumn. In autumn, trees become leafless. Leaves shed. And the environment becomes dark. Right? Because in this season, trees bear fruit. At the end of, right, trees are fruitless as well as leavesless. Right? But here, there's also philosophical implication about nature, human life. Right? Margaret, are you grieving? The little child is grieving because of the environmental changes. Now the environment is becoming dark and the trees become leavesless. Right? Ground is full of fallen leaves, like that. Margaret, are you grieving? Over golden grove unleaving. Golden grove means the environment is beautiful. Beautiful environment with trees, with fruit, leaves. Now unleaving. It's a rhetorical question. He asked, are you grieving because of the absence of environmental beauty with the seasonal changes from spring to autumn? Leaves, like the things of man, the poet equates leaves to human life. Why? The poet speaks of death and decadence. Leaves become old and they shed. And the ground is full of fallen leaves. Human life is also like that. But child can't understand that philosophical truth. Like the things of man, here it is a simile. Like the things of man. You hear second person narrative. With your fresh thoughts careful. Fresh thoughts mean childish thoughts. Why do you think of that? Because you are a child. You are grieving because of the environmental changes, because you have no mature mind. Your thoughts are immature, fresh. Careful can you? That means, but again in a rhetorical question he asks, leaves like the things of man. Leaves also like things of man. That means philosophical implication of death is there. You, with your fresh thoughts, care for. Can you care for those things with your fresh thoughts? Can't. You can't understand it, Margaret. As the heart grows old, that means when you grow old, it will come to such size called such sites. Such sites mean leaves, less trees, dead environment, right? absence of golden grove, beauty of environment, prosperity? No, that is death. When you grow old, you will become mature, and then such sights called, you may not cry seeing such sights. By and by, no spare sigh. Step by step, you will not spare a sigh. That means you will not grieve over it. You will not sigh. Though worlds of man would, one would, the worlds of one would mean again absence of leaves. Leaf mean lie. Leaf mean the ground is covered with leaves, and yet you will weep and know why. You will weep because of the absence of this beauty of environment. When the season of autumn comes, right, then though you will weep, you will know the truth. No matter a child the name, sorrows, springs are the same. Sorrows, springs are the same. Yes, human life is like that. Sorrows of the springs are also same, like human life. The ultimate reality is this. One would leave me lie, death and decadence. No mouth had, no mind expressed. Then in words, you will not express that grief because you will know it. In mind, you will not cry, you will not weep, you will not grieve. What heart heard of ghost guest? Ghost guest mean here, the poet used a metaphor for death. Ghost guest mean absence of beauty, absence of life. It is the blight. Blight mean tribulation. In Sinhala Vipatha, blight man was born for. It is the blight man was born for. That means ghost guest, death. Death is the blight man was born for. There is no man immortal. Everyone is mortal, mean everyone dies. It is Margaret you mourn for. You are mourning for that death, Margaret. So poem speaks about death. So it is a death poem. Human death as well as environmental death. Here at the beginning, there are two rhetorical questions and similes here. And comparison. The poet compares with human life. And also allusion is there, but it is not direct. Allusion means referring to religion or other language. The religious thought is also, spring and fall. Spring and fall has two religious implications. You have heard Eva and Adam, the first human beings. They had a time of spring. They lived without any problems. But what happened? As a result of consuming apple from the forbidden tree, they became polluted. Once polluted, right, all grievances began coming to the world as a means of God punishing them, because God ordered them not to eat any fruit from that forbidden tree. That is one. Another spring and fall, we can say, that is also biblical story. Not actually biblical, it comes from Greek literature, right? Theology. About, we say Paradise Lost. There was a beautiful god called Lucifer, who was powerful in heaven. But Lucifer launched a battle against the supremacy of God. As a result of that, Lucifer and his supporters fell into hell, and Lucifer became Saturn, right, or Pluto. That is also one thing. It is called paradise lost. In Christianity also that is mentioned. Right here, rhyme scheme, grieving, leaving, AA, BB, CC, DD, and here live Y, 3, triple couplet. We say triple couplet means 3 are same. Psi, live Y. Here again name same, express gets. Finally, 2 couplets is 4. Final couplet, yes. 4, 4. Yes, okay. Let's write the note like this. String and did you write the topic? Right. Spring and Fall by Gerard Manley Hopkins speaks about the changes of nature, changes of nature, but there is a deeper meaning related to the human life too. Yes. Hopkins is a Victorian poet who lived and wrote during, D-U-R-I-N-G, we pronounce it as during the Queen Victoria of England. Yes. Victorian reign, R-E-I-G-N mean Rajapalana Samaya. Victorian reign in England saw, S-A-W, saw an unprecedented, U-N-P-R-E-C-E-N-T-E-D, U-N-P-R-E-C-E-N-T-E-D, unprecedented development in every field including arts and literature. Arts and literature. Yes. Artists were inspired by the development in England and many poets wrote poems appreciating that development. Yes. However, Hopkins wrote about some other subjects, some other subject matters, like nature, death, and the negative consequences of so-called development. Yes. However, in this poem, the poet speaks of a philosophical truth related to the human life and that is death and decadence. Death and decadence. Full stop. In order to speak of that truth, the poet uses the environmental changes and seasonal changes. Seasonal changes. Yes. The title Spring and Fall, the title Spring and Fall conveys two different ideas, and one is natural seasonal changes. Natural seasonal changes. The spring means the season of spring, and fall within inverted comma, fall means the next season, autumn, which symbolizes death and decadence. Yes. During autumn, trees bear fruits. But the end of the season is sad because leaves shed, and trees become bare. Yes. Full stop. When the autumn ends, mm, the environment becomes dark with rainy clouds, and the ground is filled with dead leaves. Yes. There is also a religious implication in it, and that is about the very first two humans appeared on the earth, Eva and Adam, E capital EVE, Eva and Adam, ADAM. Eva and Adam also you can pronounce. Eva and Adam, different pronunciations are there. Adam. Yes. When sending them to the earth, God also created a fruit tree called forbidden tree, and God ordered them not to eat fruits from that tree, but Eva first ate, and then Adam too. Full stop. It was from that point, all the grievances came to the world. Yes. Full stop. That means previously they had the spring, and later they met fall. Yes. Full stop. Once again, we can also have an idea about human life and death. Human life and death associated with the title Spring and Fall. spring and fall, with the title Spring and Fall. Right, new para. The narrator of the poem is an adult speaking to a little girl called Margaret, comma, and he can be identified as the little girl's father. Yes, full stop. The poem opens as, now within inverted comma, write first two lines. Margaret, are you grieving? Are you grieving? Next line, over golden grove, unleaving, question mark and close quotation. First two lines. Yes. This is where, at the very outset, the narrator addresses the little girl with her name Margaret. Yes, full stop. We find him asking the girl that she is grieving over golden grove, G capital, no? This word, second line, second word, golden grove, unleaving. Yes, full stop. Here, golden grove means the beauty of nature, during the season of spring. Yes. Full stop. In the spring, the environment is full of flowers and extremely inspiring. Extremely inspiring. Yes. Full stop. Nevertheless, with the arrival of the season of autumn, that beauty of the environment diminishes, and the environment becomes dark and dead. Dark and dead. Full stop. Leaves fall, and the splendor, splendor, splendor of nature vanishes. Yes. The little girl called Margaret is crying and grieving on seeing this sad change of nature. Yes. Thus, we come across a rhetorical question at very first two lines. Right. Then the narrator begins with explaining the philosophical nature of human life which the little girl cannot understand. Yes. The poet says, now write the quotation, next two lines. Leaves like the things of man, comma, you, next line, with your fresh thoughts, care for, comma, can you, yes, full stop, close inverted comma. In a simile, the poet compares the seasonal changes of spring and fall to the human life too. Yes, full stop. According to the narrator, human life is also like the dead fallen leaves. Full stop. However, the tender mind of the little girl cannot understand this philosophical truth. Understand these philosophical truths. Yes. As the poet says, Margaret's fresh thoughts cannot care for that. Full stop. A little girl is also a token of prosperity, token of prosperity, because one day she will become a woman and then a mother, full stop. Therefore, we can also think that the term spring again inverted comma, the term spring is also applicable to the girl, yes. Anyway, this beauty and prosperity do not exist forever, as that is the universal truth. Yes. The poet thus attempts to tell that everything in the world is impermanent, so that the poem conveys the idea of transiency, transiency, yes. Next, the poet says, as the heart grows older, it will come to such sights called. Next, the narrator tells the girl that මේ poems නම් කටපාඩම් කරගන්න ඕන. දිග poems දින කටපාඩම් කරන්න බෑ. මේ පොඩි ඕනේ all short poems you must mug up. Mug up කියන්නේ කටපාඩම් කරනවා. MUGUP. Narrator tells the girl that as the heart grows older as the heart grows older, it will come to such sights, sights, sights called, it will come to such sights, sights, sights called, full stop. Here, within inverted comma, such sights, close inverted comma, means the dead environment with leafless trees and the ground filled with dead leaves, grounds filled with dead leaves. Yes. Full stop. When the girl grows older, she will learn the truth behind that sadness, and then she will admit the changes of the world. Yes, full stop. Now, Margaret is a little girl, and she will become old with the process of time. Yes. Once mature, ONCE once mature, she will not fetch, FETCH.
සර් චුට්ටක් ආයෙ කියවනවද මට කට් වුණා.
From which place?
Process of time.
With the process of time, full stop. After that I said once mature, she will not fetch, 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 size, SIGHS, size, On scene, SEEing, scene, okay? On scene, the sad changes of the environment. Yes. After that, though worlds of man would leave me lie, and yet you will weep and know why. Yes. The poet here, sorry, one would here. The poet tells that though world of one would, this word WANWOOD, one would leave me, next word, leave me lie, and yet the girl will weep and know why. Yes. The word one would, inverted comma, one would, is a new word coined by the poet to speak of the seasonal changes with dead environment. Full stop. Leaf meal means the ground covered with the dead leaves. Ground covered with the dead leaves. Right. The little girl when becomes mature will understand the reality of the world and perhaps she will weep but she will know the truth. Yes, new para. In the stanza 2, the poet says, inverted comma, now no matter, comma, child, the name, write first 2 lines as quotation, no matter, child the name, next line, sorrow apostrophe, sorrows, springs are the same. Sorrows, springs are the same. Yes. Full stop. Here, the poet emphasizes the truth about the human world, as well as the human world, as well as the as well as nature. Okay, not the cut down, the as well as nature. Yes. Full stop. Spring symbolizes life and happiness, and again, same spring reaches death and decadence. Yes. Full stop. As the poet says, neither mouth nor no mind can express what heart heard of, comma, ghost guest. GH chose this word, ghost guest. Yes. Here, the poet implies death for man, in common with the term inverted comma ghost, guest, Guest, ghost, guest. Yes. The poet emphasizes that death is a common phenomenon. Phenomenon is spelling PHENOMENON. PHENOMENON. Phenomenon කියලා ලියේ වෙන්නේ not pronounce phenomenon. Common phenomenon for the entire human world. Yes. Finally, the poet says, inverted comma, it is the last two lines. It is the blight man was born for. It is the blight, BLIGHT, blight man was born for. Next line. It is Margaret you mourn for. MOURN, mourn for. Yes. These last two lines produce the reality of death, which is the blight, 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 into which man is born, but the little girl Margaret cannot understand that truth, so that she mourns, MOURNS, mourns. Right. New para. In this manner, it is clear that Gerard Manley Hopkins, the Victorian poet, speaks of life and death in the poem Spring and Fall. Yes. Life death, childhood innocence, natural changes, adulthood awareness, etc., can be identified as the themes. Yes. Rhetorical question. In a poem, when there is a question, we say rhetorical question. Okay. RHTORICL, rhetorical question. Simile, foreshadow, FORE, foreshadow, are common techniques. Yes. In the section 1 of the poem, rhyme scheme is AA, BB, CC, DDD, and section 2, EE, FF, GG. Right. Now you may have understood. Someone please read the note from the beginning. Don't waste time. Okay, Nisra.
Spring and Fall by Gerard Manley Hopkins speaks about the changes of nature, but there is a deeper meaning related to the human life too. Hopkins is a Victorian poet who lived and wrote during the Queen Victoria of England. Victorian reign in England saw the unprecedented development in every field, including arts and literature. Artists were inspired by the development in England, and many poets wrote poems appreciating that development. However, Hawkins wrote about some other subject matters like nature, death, and the negative consequences of so-called development. However, in the poem, the poet speaks of a philosophical truth related to the human life, and that is death and decadence. In order to speak of the truth, the poet uses the environmental changes, seasonal changes. The title Spring and Fall conveys two different ideas. One is natural seasonal changes. Spring means a season of spring, and fall means the next season, autumn, which symbolizes death and decadence. During autumn, trees bear fruits, but at the end of the season, it is sad because leaves had shed and trees become bare. When the autumn ends, environment becomes dark with rainy clouds, and the ground is filled with dead leaves. There is also a religious implication in it, and that is about the very first two humans appeared in the earth, Eva and Adam. When sending them to the earth, God also created a fruit tree called forbidden tree, and God ordered them not to eat fruits from that tree, but Eve first ate and the Adam too. It was from that point all the grievances came to the world. That means previously they had spring and later they met fall. Once again we can also have an idea about human life and death associated with the little spring and title Spring and Fall. The narrator of the poem is an adult speaking to a little girl called Margaret, and he can be identified as the little girl's father. The poem opens as Margaret Ive grieving over Golden Grove and leaving. This is where at the very outset the narrator addresses the little girl with her name Margaret. We find him asking the girl that she is grieving Golden Grove and leaving. Here Golden Grove means the beauty of nature during the season of spring. In the spring the environment is full of flowers and extremely inspiring. Nevertheless, with the arrival of the season of autumn, that beauty of the environment diminishes and the environment becomes dark and dead. Leaves fall and the splendor of nature vanishes. The little girl called Margaret is crying and grieving on seeing this bad change of nature. Thus we come across a rhetorical question at first two lines. Then the narrator begins with explaining the philosophical nature of human life, which the little girl cannot understand. The poet says, "Leaves, like the things of man you, with your fresh thoughts care for can you." In a simile, the poet compares the seasonal changes of spring and fall to the human life too. According to the narrator, human life is also like dead, fallen leaves. However, the tender mind of the little girl cannot understand the philosophical truths. As the poet says, Margaret's fresh thoughts cannot care for that. A little girl is also token for prosperity because one day she will become a woman and then a mother. Therefore, we can also think that the term spring also applicable to the girl. Anyway, the beauty and prosperity do not exist forever, as that is the universal truth. The poet thus attempt to tell that everything in the world is impermanent, so that the poem conveys the idea to transiency. Next, the narrator tells the girl that as the herd grows older, it will come to such size colder. Here, such size means the dead environment with leafless trees and the ground filled with dead leaves. When the girl grows older, she will learn the truth behind that sadness, and then she will admit the changes of the world. Now Margaret is a little girl and she will become old with the process of time. Once mature, she will not fix sigh on seeing the sad changes of the environment. Here the poet tells that though word of one would leave me lie, and yet the girl will weep and know why. The word vanwood is a new word coined by the poet to speak of the seasonal changes with dead environment, leafless and the ground covered with the dead leaves. The little girl, when becomes mature, will understand the reality of the world and will know the truth. In the stanza 2, the poet says, "No, now no matter, child, the names, rose, spring the same." Here the poet emphasizes the truth about the human world as well as nature. Spring symbolizes life and happiness, and again some spring reaches death and decadence. As the poet says, neither mouth nor mind can express what heart heard of ghost guest. Here the poet implies death of man in common with the term ghost guest. The poet emphasizes first that death is a common phenomenon for the entire human world. Finally, the poet says, "It is blight man was born for, it is Margaret you mourn for." These last two lines produce the reality of death, which is the blight into which man is born. But the little girl Margaret cannot understand that truth, so that she mourns. In this manner, it is clear that Gerard Manley Hopkins, the Victorian, uh, uh, speaks of life and the death in the poem Spring and Fall. Life, death, childhood innocence, natural changes, adulthood awareness, etc. Can be identified as the themes. Rhetorical questions, simile, foreshadow are common techniques in the section 1 of the poem. Rhyming scheme is AA, BB, CC, DDD, and section 2 is EE, FF, GG.
There you missed one word, Victorian poet. Ne? Gerard Manley Hopkins, the Victorian poet. Yes. Etana puddak miss Hari. It's okay. We will meet next day. Now, tomorrow you are going to schools.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I will send you a message, okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, sir.